Welcome to another Superior Health Wednesday, joined as always by Jim LaJoy, Executive Director of Superior Health Foundation. Good to have you with us.
Thank you, Ben. Good to be here.
And in these conversations, we talk about the mission of Superior Health Foundation, the nonprofits and organizations that you help support. And this is something that you all have been doing coming up on 10 years now as Superior Health Foundation. If you could we'll get into some of the favorite moments here in just a minute, but for folks that are new to these conversations or haven't heard it before, we should kind of start us off today talking about how you got started.
Yeah. Yeah, it's hard to believe, but September 1st of this year will be our 10-year anniversary. And time sure flies when we're all having fun, that's for sure. But the Superior Health Foundation began September 1st, 2012. We were a conversion foundation. We were formed following the sale of the former Market General Hospital to for-profit Duke Lake Point out of Brentwood, Tennessee. And our whole world changed like basically overnight. We went from an organization that was providing charitable funding to the hospital for equipment, services, programming, to a UP-wide grant-giving organization that serves all 15 counties in the Upper Peninsula. So it was quite a leap overnight. And there was a lot that happened in that first year. We had to develop a UP-wide board of directors. We had to develop all new policies and procedures. We had to find a place to locate, which we're still at 121 North Front Street in Marquette. We had to develop our team, and it was an interesting process. Those first 6 to 12 months. I remember just my head was spinning daily, like how are we going to get all this accomplished? But it all came together, and you look at kind of the humble beginnings that we had with our organization and how we've grown. We started with 2 full-time employees and 1 part-time employee. Here we are 10 years later, and we have 5 full-time employees and 1 part-time employee. We've added to our space. We went through a renovation 3 summers ago that we needed to do and increase more than double the size of our space. And the evolution and the transformation has been it's been pretty terrific over these years.
Yeah. And just having been in there, seeing the space, it's welcoming, because when you're working with organizations, you want them to be able to sit down, to feel confident in working with you, and like you provide a really welcoming space for folks within that office. And it's nice to have that visibility right on Front Street, right in downtown. So certainly a good spot for you there.
Absolutely.
Oh, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say absolutely. You're right on, and we couldn't, have a better place to be located. It's a central part of Marquette, and you're right. Our door is always open, and we like that. We like that type of foot traffic. When we were going through the whole COVID thing, we couldn't allow foot traffic, and we couldn't allow visitors, and it was mainly phone calls. And now to be able to have people back in and stopping and visiting, whether they have an appointment or just stopping in to say hi, it's been wonderful. And I think a good part of our success has to be attributed to so many community partners and business leaders who have been in our corner right from the get-go, that have supported us, that have given us the tools and provided those necessary pieces that we needed to succeed. And we'll always be forever thankful to all those businesses and all those donors from across the region who have played an integral role in our development, and really where we are today.
And the donors are a big part of it. One of the things that you've grown into over 10 years is getting donations, and you've gotten support from outside of the UP. You brought in state and other support from all these different foundations, organizations. talk to me about how the support for what you're doing has grown and some of the ways that looks for you now.
I'm happy to. It's a great question. And it's probably, we were talking about this the other day among a few friends, is that probably the thing that I'm most proud of in our development is the amount of incredible partnerships and funding partners that we have developed, particularly over the last 3 or 4 years. It took us a little while to get on the map because we were new and a lot of people were not familiar with what we were doing. But over time and through a number of face-to-face meetings, Zoom calls, telephone calls, emails, we've developed just an incredible network of people that we can reach out to help fund, to help provide matching funding for particular projects that we're working on to improve the health and well-being of people in the Upper Peninsula. And that just brings a smile on my face. I mean, it's just so glorifying. And I think of those relationships and how they developed, and now to be able to be in a spot where I feel comfortable with a whole number of different projects, just being able to pick up the phone and call a partner and talk about it, and then have it come to fruition. I mean, a perfect example of this, Ben, and I think we've talked about this previously, is you look at our proactive grant giving for these past 2 years. We address food insecurities. Well, we were on our end going to put about $800,000 into this over a 2-year period. Well, with the help of matching funding and a number of other funding partners, we grew that to about 1.2 million. And that is pretty phenomenal. And we're forever thankful for those folks that believe in us. And for some of these organizations, as you alluded to, they're downstate organizations that really, over a number of years, really did not invest in the Upper Peninsula. So to have that puts us in a good spot for, I think, the next decade.
And you're getting this more people to invest, more people to believe in that, but you're also serving as an example. One of the things I think I've heard you talk about is how some of the projects and things you've taken on, people are now looking at that in other parts of the country of, well,
Yeah.
can we do it that way? So in 10 years, you become a trendsetter.
Yeah. Yeah, we have, and we're thankful for that too. I'm pretty proud of that. I think a pretty good example of that is, the last proactive grant giving project that we did was addressing non-emergent medical transportation needs in the Upper Peninsula. And that was probably, as I look back at all the projects that we've done, the heaviest of lifts. It really was. That one was, there were a lot of different moving pieces with that one that needed to happen to make that come together. It was just more than funding. It was positioning people, having drivers available in various communities, working out a series of contracts with union labor, non-union labor, working with MarkTran. I mean, it was really a big undertaking, but in the end, it was extremely successful. In fact, I'm going to be getting a report within a week about how many rides have been provided for that. And that particular project, addressing the rural needs in the Upper Peninsula, was on the radar for an area on the East Coast. And they saw it, and they're actually taking very similar information and projects that we've done, and they're implementing them in that area. So that's something we're proud of, because this is a rural area, and we deal with harsh winters, and sometimes transportation is very difficult, but we found a way to make it happen. And it happened with a lot of people joining together and finding solutions to some complex problems.
And I think that's okay to say. I mean, you should be proud of that. Those are a lot of things that you've been able to develop and see other people catch on to, and that can have a lot of greater influence. But I think there was a video related to that talking
Yeah.
about all
Yep.
the people, and watching that, you know, it really puts it into perspective when you get to hear from real people, both the folks that are drivers or people that were utilizing the service that needed help getting around. Um,
Exactly.
that it's not just this, atmospheric thing we're talking about. These are our neighbors. These are people that are being helped directly and are being affected by a lot of these issues. So having all of those examples and hearing from our neighbors encourages a lot of people to want to donate. And that's one of the things that you've done as an organization is, if I want to donate, I can make that go to a lot of different funds, or there are a lot of different ways that you can put your dollars to work to serve these specific needs and help neighbors where you see the greatest need.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And it's a collaborative effort, and it's successful because we have a very energetic and very engaged board of directors, UPY board of directors, a dedicated team. Um, and when you look back at 10 years and the accomplishments that we've had, the other one that I think that I'm particularly proud of is, we hold 3 special events each year, as you're aware of. We do our big annual gala, which is coming up in October, our biggest event. We do our golf outing in June, and we have our Painting the Peninsula Pink for to raise money for our breast health fund. But those 3 fundraisers, we've raised over $1 million with those fundraisers over that period of time. And that's not only is that part important, but the number of partners that we have worked with our gala, with our golf, and the number of people that we have helped financially with the breast health fund. Um, those are the things that resonate with us. Helping people and providing those resources and doing our part to ensure that people are getting the help they need is incredibly satisfying for us.
And it's you reflected on a few of the things. I don't know if you have any other of those really just standout memories over the past 10 years that, if you're having a tough day or you just need to think about something good, that these are the memories that stand out to you of, this is why I do this. This is how we make a difference.
Well, I have a couple just off the top of my head. I could probably spend an hour on this, but there's a couple that come to mind. One was several years ago during our Pink event when we partnered with West Iron County High School for the football game. The day of the game, we had a big parade. There was a big pink truck that transported all the football players. We were on the truck. We were part of the parade in the morning. And when the parade ended, the football team lined up in single file and went through and thanked and hugged each one of us and our volunteers and our team for thinking of them, including them in the event. And they said that they lost a grandmother to breast cancer, they lost a mother, they lost a friend, and they were just so incredibly thankful. And when it was done, I was really touched, and I went over to the coach and I said, that was an incredibly nice gesture. And he says, and you know what makes it really incredible? He said, I didn't tell them to do it. They did it on their own. So that was fantastic. And then I think of some other things that we've done with various causes. I think of the 906 Adventure Team. We've had Todd Poquette on and the work that they've done, and we provided Todd and the 906 Adventure Team a grant to really get them moving. They were at a point early on in their infancy where they were spinning their wheels a little bit. They needed a little bit of help. And we believe so strongly in their mission to get kids out of the house, off their computers, onto bikes, out in the fresh air, get some exercise, help with, mental health part of it. We provided that grant. And to this day, Todd, wherever he goes, talks about how that grant was the springboard to their success. Same thing could be said for Courage Incorporated. We had Eric on just within the last month or so. This was a small grassroots nonprofit that, provides these outdoor excursions for veterans and those with disabilities. And we have provided a number of different grants to them over the years, but they were a partner in our golf outing, and that put them on the map. When they had an opportunity to be part of the video and get that word out, and that was another key area for them. So I guess the long and short of it, Ben, is that not only is it important for us to provide grant funding to so many well-deserving nonprofits across the Upper Peninsula, but anything that we can do and help in their growth. And their growth has a lot to do with visibility, and it has a lot to do with getting name recognition about what they're doing. And that's important to us. And we've been able to accomplish that. And they in turn have helped us out in a number of ways too. So when it all comes together, it's just beautiful.
And that's one of those things that stands out to me, having lived and worked in a few other places. Seeing when you talk about these folks that all their names, you remember their story, remember exactly what happened. It's not just like you throw a check at somebody and leave it go. Like, you're investing in them to continue going. Because with 906 Adventure, like, they're into Wisconsin now. They've spread throughout the UP. They've been able to grow through that. And just having that conversation with Courage Incorporated, seeing what their goals are, that this isn't a one and done. You're really trying to lay foundations for people. So it's more than just a one-time grant, more than just a donation here or there. You are invested in them, both, I think, physically and financially. And that's just sets a really good example for the rest of the UP.
Yeah, I totally agree. And and as you were talking, there's one other story that I'd like to share.
Yeah, please.
Yeah, that comes to mind that was incredibly touching. About 2-3 years ago, we visited a recovery house in Escanaba. It's a recovery house for men with addictions. And I was in Escanaba doing a number of different things, and I made a point to visit the house because that particular house, we purchased a new refrigerator, new couch, a number of different appliances for them to help them with their operation. And while I was visiting with the director, he introduced me to one of the residents who was living there. And the director said, "This is Jim from Superior Health Foundation, and this is the foundation that provided these these different appliances and the couches, and to make this a really nice livable spot." And the guy looked at me and he just said, "Can I give you a hug?" And I said, "Absolutely." And he did. And he says, "I can't believe what you did for us. This is like my home, and I'm so proud to be here, and I'm so proud to be on the road to recovery. And just thank you so much for what you did." And I get goosebumps just telling the story because it was so incredibly special. But again, those are nuggets of things that have happened over the last 10 years, and there's too numerous to mention. But it's the reason we come to work every day, to try to make a difference, to try to improve the health and well-being of people. And we're just starting. I mean, this is 10 years. This thing will continue long after I'm gone. But it's great to have humble beginnings and to be able to grow into an organization that is pretty well known now across the Upper Peninsula. And for that, we're incredibly proud.
I think it is important to take time and reflect on those things and get some perspective. But just hearing that, there is a vision for the future. There's certainly, you're not done growing yet. You've come a long way in 10 years. But if we kind of could, what do you want the organization to be? What is it becoming?
Well, part of what my goal was when I started here is I'm a big fan of going from good to great, and I think we're on the precipice of being great, and now I want us to be exceptional. Um, and what I mean by that is I want us to be in a spot where people aren't afraid to, talk to us, that feel comfortable talking to us, that look for projects and really involve the community. I think that's one area that we're going to probably address more in the next couple of years is getting more community forums together to find out what the real needs are in communities across the UP. We've done that. We had to put a little hold on it when we were going through COVID, but we're committed to doing that again and really involving the good people of the UP and be part of some of these solutions. And a lot of the things that we fund are, they're out there. We know what they are. We know that there are drug use issues, there are mental health issues. There's lots of different things that we have had a footprint on, but there might be other smaller issues that are going on in communities that we're not aware of. So part of what we're going to try to do is not only be good ambassadors, but be exceptional listeners to people and hear from them about how we can get involved and how we can, make a difference.
I think that's good. It's a great place to start is with listening. And that's something that in all of our conversations, you have done a really good job with, of just like making the space available for people to come to you, hearing their ideas, finding the right way to do that. So I think that goes right along with everything you've done so far and creating a really good space to have those conversations and bring forth some ideas, because a lot of people have good ideas and it's just how do we refine those and make those into something more.
Absolutely. And, and I think the other thing that we want to continue to build upon is those relationships and those funding relationships that we have with so many other organizations, not only in the UP, but across the state, and develop new partners. We're always talking to other organizations. And I think the real nice thing as well in the last few years is we've done some partnerships with the community foundations in the UP. Health is not typically top of mind for them. They're involved in scholarships and other community type things that they do, but we've been able to have discussions about how we can play a role and work together on solutions. And that's an important part for us. It really is. Regardless of how much they're giving and how much they're putting into it, just to be able to roll up our sleeves and find ways that we can, help people. And that part is just incredibly satisfying. It's important. And as you know, Ben, in the nonprofit world, the work never ends. We'd like to sit here and say we've accomplished a lot, and we have, but by the same token, our work is not done. We have a lot of things that we still want to be able to do and be that resource that people can have faith in, have confidence in, and trust in.
Well, it's been a decade well spent, and certainly excited for what you all are doing in the future and how you're engaging with the community. Is there anything else as far as our conversation today that you want to include in the conversation?
No, I don't think so. I mean, I guess, if we want to talk about statistics, in our 10 years, we've given out just under $4.6 million in grants. We'll be over 5 million during this fall. And I think, if you talk about 4.5 million in 10 years, that number is going to go up exponentially over the next 10 years. Just because of the types of projects, the types of things that we're doing. And again, the important thing is not necessarily the number, it's the amount of organizations that we've helped. And if there's one thing that I've learned over the years with nonprofits, there are nonprofits that may get a grant from us for $2,000, and it means a world of difference to them. And no grant, whether big or small, goes unnoticed. And we just want to be part of that process.
Wow, it's fortunate that there is an organization like Spear Health Foundation making those things possible. And like you said, big or small, it's something they couldn't do on their own and without your help. So thank you for being a good community partner, and I am excited to see what the future looks like and continuing to have these conversations so we can share that with other people.
Okay. Thank you so much, Ben.
Absolutely. Thank you.